What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another breakdown of the Skeleton Crew Disney Plus series, where I am diving into every single episode of the Disney Plus series, and we are here to break down episode number 4. So, first things first, really enjoying the series. It's not to the point where I feel like I want to watch it day one release. It's usually a few days later that I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to go back to that world of Skeleton Crew and the Goonies inspired story from Star Wars. And I'll end up catching it a few days after it releases. But it's still, despite that, it's still a good series overall. So let's go ahead and recap the episode, and then I'll give you my there's not too many thoughts that I have on this particular episode, but we'll break it down in just a second. So episode 4, the crew uses Kim's coordinates to arrive at what they believe to be at Aten. The planet turns out to resemble a war-torn version of it, and later they learn they are actually on at Akron, one of the sister planets. Jod stays on the ship with SM-33 while the kids venture out. They run into soldiers who identify themselves as Troiks, who have been at war with the Hattons. Neil befriends a young soldier girl named Hana, whose father, General Strix, insists that the children be treated like adults. Neil does not take to the violent lifestyle, preferring a more humane approach. The kids are to aid the Troiks in getting their AOPs back, but Jod and SM-33 buy them back from the Hattons. As a reward, they are directed to the Fallen Sanctum, which resembles the Supervisor's Tower on At-Aten. The crew find that it contains the coordinates to other similar planets, but At-Aten's has been scratched out. SM-33 reveals that he destroyed it, but his memory has been wiped. Fern orders him to remember, and he reveals that At-Aten is where the former captain hid his treasure. Suddenly, SM-33 attacks the group as part of an order from the previous captain. Jod turns him off, and Neil faints after helping to save his friends. So again, I don't have a ton of thoughts on this episode. This episode, to me, is not an episode that really pushes the story forward. A lot of that gets kind of done in the back end of the episode when we learn that SM-33 and his captain were here. They were on At-Aten, however long ago, we don't know. But there's a treasure on At-Aten, which now is why all the pirates have always thought that this was like a mythological planet and that it never existed. So that's part of the story is kind of lining up together now, and we're kind of seeing a little bit more of the puzzle here. So in terms of story, this episode doesn't really do that until the end of this episode. The rest of it is kind of filler and development of Neil's character. I won't say this is a bad episode, because it's not. It is a decent episode overall. It is the weakest out of the 4 that I have watched so far. And truth be told, the one thing that is really preventing me from not liking the episode is the development of Neil's character. Neil has been a character that I've actually kind of really enjoyed over the first 3 episodes. And with his development in this particular episode, I feel kind of confident in saying that he's kind of the heart of not only his friends, but of the show. And he even has like that nice little character arc here in this episode where he's afraid to fight, doesn't like fighting, but when it comes time to save his friends, he steps up and throws the rock at SM-33. And I like the little mini character arc that he has here. And again, I'm really liking what they did with his character. It was the only thing that kept me invested in this episode was Neil. I really, really like Fern as her character in the first 4 episodes, especially where she believes that she's kind of telling everybody, I'm the captain, it's me, I'm making the choices. But then when it comes time for like war and actually making hard choices, she can't actually do it, and she's pawning off the responsibilities on Wim now, who she didn't want to give any control over the group and the ship in the first 3 episodes. So I like what they're doing with her character, and they developed her character a little bit more in this episode for sure. Wim's getting pushed on the back burner so far. I thought that he was going to be the really the heart of the show, the main character that we were going to follow and get to develop more, but really he's been pushed to the back burner. It seems like the way they presented this series was that Wim was going to be the main guy, and as of right now, he's not really the main guy. From everybody that I've talked to, Neil and Fern are the top 2 characters of Skeleton Crew so far, and Jod is right behind him. I'm really liking what they're doing with Jod. He's not like a piece of shit to where you can't really like root for him in a way. Like he seems to like he's not a good guy, but he's also like not a bad guy either. From what we've seen so far, I'm not saying like he won't end up being a bad guy at the end of the series. I don't think he will, but I like what we're seeing from Jod so far in this series. And I really enjoyed what they did with Neil in this particular episode. And I really think that helped this episode be somewhat decent. Because if you strip away what they did with Neil and you look at this from just a storytelling perspective, it's kind of a bland and boring episode. I feel like this part of the storyline on this planet is just really underdeveloped. Sure, I'm interested in what these characters are kind of going through and the potential of the storyline, but it's just all underdeveloped to the point where it's like we're just kind of scooting by all of this. The back end of the episode is pretty good in terms of pushing the overall season 1 of Skeleton Crew forward, but outside of that, the episode is just I won't say a dud. It's just, it was okay. So yeah, guys, overall, it was an okay episode. Definitely the worst out of the 4 episodes that I've seen so far. It just kind of felt underwhelming in terms of what they were showing us story-wise. It was okay. It was okay. Nothing that I would say, oh man, did you watch last week's episode? Like, go watch it now. I never had that thought watching this episode or even, kind of trying to collect my thoughts after the episode. But guys, let me know down in the comments below of what you think about episode 4. Do you have similar thoughts? Do you agree, disagree? Let me know down below, and I will catch y'all next time on the next episode. Laters.